Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayan Namaskrityam Narayan Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirye Nashta Prayasho Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 47, Text number 51. Gatya lalita yodara. Gatya lalita yodara. Hasalilavalokanahi. Hasalilavalokanahi. Madhyagira dhiya. Madhyagira dhiya. Katham tam vismaramahe. Katham tam vismaramahe. Gatya lalita yodara. Hasalilavalokanai. Madhyagira dhiya. Katham tam vismaramahe. Gatya lalita yodara. Hasalilavalokanai. Madhyagira dhiya. Gatya, by his gait. Lalitaya, charming. Udara, with generous. Hasa, smiles. Leela, playful. Avalokanahi, by his glances. Madhva, honey-like. Gira, by his words. Rita, stolen away. Diya, whose hearts. Katham, how. Tam, him. Vismarama, we can forget. He, oh, Uddhav. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: O Uddhav, how can we forget him when our hearts have been stolen away by the charming way he walks, his general smile and playful glances, and his honey-like words? Please repeat. O Uddhav, how can we forget him when our hearts have been stolen away by the charming way he walks, his generous smiles and playful glances, and his honey-like words? Jiva Goswami. Covering your eyes with a cloth, controlling the mind by the intelligence, forgetting everything, you can then forget him. That was in quotes. Our hearts have been stolen by the charming movements of his limbs, Gatya, by his excellent smile and playful glances. These items indicate his special love for us. The plural is used to indicate that he smiled and glanced at each of the gopis individually. His words were sweet by sound and by meaning. By these three means, movement, love and words, our intelligence has been stolen. By what means can we forget his friendship or his movements, love and words? There is no way, or please teach us some other way. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namah Krishna Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. So we request the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas. We can discuss this verse. Okay, so in this chapter we have seen that how Uddhav has tried to console the gopis, and Uddhav, actually the main point that Uddhav said, that he actually said, made the point that, while ordinary persons must perform many pious deeds to qualify as servants of Lord Krishna, you simple gopis, the cowherd girls, are so extremely fortunate that the Lord has favored you with the very highest degree of pure devotion for Him. So Uddhav is praising the good fortune of the gopis, and then Uddhav actually gave the message of Krishna, and the main message of Krishna was actually said, I am indeed most dear to you gopis, but to increase your attraction for me and intensify your remembrance of me, I left you. So Krishna is actually, his message to the gopis is that just to increase their attraction for Krishna and to intensify the remembrance of the Krishna has actually left you. And he gives the example like, when a woman's beloved is far away, she fixes her mind upon him constantly. So by my leaving, it actually, the only reason is to intensify your remembrance of me. Right? And then the gopis actually, after hearing this, the gopis then they actually ask Uddhav that, Krishna is there with all the queens of Mathura. Does he even remember us? And previously in the previous verses we read, the gopis are thinking, even if unfavorably, does he actually... Is okay? Okay. But that's... Maybe as long as... So gopis are asking Uddhav that... So the gopis are asking Uddhav that, does Krishna remember us, even if that is in an unfavorable way, where he's actually comparing the queens of Mathura and the girls, and saying, oh, the queens of Mathura are so sophisticated, but maybe the village girls are, not so sophisticated. And even in an unfavorable way, is he just remembering us? Does he even think about us? In that way, the gopis are actually asking Uddhav. And then, here we are coming to today's verse, where right. And then the next point they actually make, that although we know that the greatest happiness comes from renunciation, we simply cannot stop hoping to attain Krishna, for the marks of his lotus feet are still present all through Braj. So the main theme of this verse is the gopis are saying, okay, we accept that, through renunciation, we will get happiness. But how can we give up that beautiful form of Krishna? How can we give up that remembrance of Krishna? And then to support that, these are the few verses. So last few verses are just focusing on this point, that whatever we do, we cannot give up the remembrance of Krishna. Right? So first point they actually said in this is his intimate talks. And particularly our acharyas have actually focused on how Krishna actually, the most intimate talk of Krishna with the gopis that they are remembering is that of where Krishna actually said, Na paryeham. When after the Ras Leela, when Krishna actually disappeared and then he appeared again, then Krishna actually made the point that your love for me is so deep that I cannot repay that love even in a lifetime of Brahma. Right? So na pariham. So they are remembering. The first is intimate talks. Then second, they are actually remembering how in Vrindavan there are rivers, there are hills, there are forests, there are cows, there are flute sounds, and they are actually remembering how all these have served Krishna. Imagine they are in Vrindavan and they are thinking of serving Krishna, but everywhere they see any aspect of Vrindavan, they are actually seeing, oh, the river has served, Yamuna has served Krishna in so many ways. The trees have served Krishna in so many ways. The flute sounds have served Krishna in so many ways. And we see this particularly in the chapter of Venu Gita, when the gopis are remembering how all these different personalities are so fortunate to be engaged in service of Krishna. And then in the last verse, they actually remembered Krishna's footprints. They are trying to forget Krishna, but all around in Vrindavan, wherever they go, they see the footprints of Krishna. And hence they are unable to actually forget Krishna. So continuing along those lines, in this verse, they are actually making 4 more points. Katham tam, so the question is basically, Katham tam vismaramahe. How can we forget him? How can we forget him? Why? And then they give these points. The first is they say, Gatya lalitaya, his charming gait or his movement. Right? So if you see the first one, they are actually remembering the movement of Lord Krishna. Right? So we read that when there was a pastime of Krishna entering into the arena to kill Kamsa, in that section it was actually explained that Krishna's movement is just like an intoxicated elephant. An elephant just walking intoxicated. And that's how the people in the arena were seeing how Krishna was actually walking inside. And they were remembering that. So that is one side, and one may say that, okay, he's coming in the mood of fighting. So hence he was coming in that elephant, in the mood of like walking like an intoxicated elephant. But here what are they saying? Here they say charming gait. So Krishna's gait, like it's described in the beauty of Lord Shri Krishna, that his trunks, his thighs actually appeared like trunks of a tree. So, but still at the same time we see there is this mood of charming, the sweetness of Krishna's walk. So the first thing they actually say is the walk of Krishna, his charming walk. Then the second one they actually say is generous smiles. Udara hasa. Hasa is smile. Udara, his generous smile. So they are remembering the generous smiles. And Jiva Goswami is making the point in the commentary that this smile and glances, and they in the Sanskrit uses the word plural because each gopi is remembering how Krishna has smiled and glanced at that particular gopi, which is unique in every way. So every gopi is remembering how Krishna actually smiled at her and then glanced at her. So Udara has generous smiles. So we see when you talk about smiles of Krishna that in first canto when we read the prayers of Queen Kunti, after she describes the entire prayers, one may think that okay, now Krishna is going to respond and there'll be another set of verses glorifying the prayers or reciprocating with Queen Kunti's mood. But what does Krishna do? After entire prayer, it is just described, Krishna reciprocated by just smiling. And that's it. So Krishna's smile is so complete that just a smile was complete and it was full reciprocation with all the beautiful prayers that Queen Kunti has actually given. Right? And also it is described later on that Yeah, when the ladies of Hastinapur, when Krishna is actually leaving Hastinapur to go into Dwarka, when the ladies they come to the rooftops and they are remembering all Krishna's activities and they compose prayers glorifying Krishna. And then it says, Krishna, he just glanced at them, he just smiled, and that way he reciprocated completely, fulfilling all their desires. Right? So now the gopis are remembering how Krishna's smile and his glance are so beautiful that they cannot forget Krishna. Right? So Jiva Goswami is saying that these two together, the generous smiles and playful glances together, indicate Krishna's love for each of the gopis. Right? So it is first is movement, second is love, and then third one is Madhya Gira, honey-like words. So when Krishna spoke to the gopis, like even the Na Paryeham verse, so those words the gopis are remembering and they're thinking like, oh, these are like the honey-like words. And then after these three or four, you can say, so movement, love, and words, then what do you say? Rita Diyaha. That means their hearts have been stolen away by these interactions of Krishna. So how is it possible for us to forget Krishna? Right? So that is a gopi situation here. That's why in the commentary Jiva Goswami is saying that Uddhav may say that up to this point, you're saying that you see the footprints everywhere of Krishna in Vrindavan, or you're remembering the intimate talks of Krishna. And Uddhav is actually saying, why don't you cover your eyes with a cloth? That way you won't see the footprints, you won't see the different aspects of Vrindavan, and that way you can forget Krishna. Or you can control your mind by your intelligence. Your mind is going here and there, just be intelligent. Remember the point that detachment gives happiness. So remember that point, and that way you can forget him. Forgetting everything, then you can forget him. And the gopi says, no, it's not possible. Why? Because our heart has been stolen by Krishna because of these remembrances of the movement, the love, and the words of Krishna. So that is the whole theme of this verse here. Okay. So I want to take this slightly in a different direction, but let's see. Any points up to this thing? Anyone would like to add anything on the theme of this verse? Or any point that comes to you when you think of like Krishna's glance, Krishna's smile, Krishna's walk, or Krishna's words? Everything in the heart, yeah, that's a nice point. So Rishabh's point is that because it says Rita Diya, even if they close their eyes because Krishna's impressions are there in the heart, they cannot forget because those impressions are always alive in the core of their heart. Say that again? If the gopis, you're saying the gopis are madly intoxicated? Yeah. The gopis are madly intoxicated, so there's no way that they can actually forget Krishna. Right? Okay. So now, if you see, thank you for that point. So now, if you see, the gopis' problem is they cannot forget Krishna. One way they don't want to forget Krishna, but here Uddhav is actually coming to console them, and they're thinking that, our problem is we cannot stop thinking of Krishna. For us, the problem is entirely the opposite. We are trying to think of Krishna, but we cannot stop thinking of this material world around us. It's exactly opposite. So how do we actually come to the stage? Finally, we need to come to a stage where finally we can have that remembrance of Krishna. Right? So in the second canto, first chapter, when Sukadeva Goswami starts speaking to Parikshit Maharaj, the point that he says, the entire point of the Shastras is to come to the point of Ante Narayana Smriti. To actually come to the Smriti, the remembrance of the Lord. It would be 2, 1, 4 or 5. 2, 4 or 5 or 6. So he says Ante Narayana Smriti. This is the whole point of our entire Shastras is come to the point of Ante Narayan Smriti. And also Rupa Goswami, he actually makes this point. And he says that all the instructions of the Shastras are just for two things. Right? And what is that? Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. You know? And it's interesting that both of them, one may say, like, aren't both the same? Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Aren't they the same? And then this explain that why are they said in the positive and the negative terms? Because one is when you say always remember Krishna, that means to engage in the positive activities of bhakti, like hearing, chanting, remembering. So we could say there are 64 items of devotional service, as Rupa Goswami gives in Nectar of Devotion, or the 9 items that Prahlad Maharaj says in the 7th canto, right, 5th chapter, 32, 33, Smaranam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, etc. Or Rupa Goswami further says 5 items, right? Chanting the holy name, associating with devotees, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, worshipping the deity, and reciting in Mathura. 5 items, right? Or finally just 1 item, chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So all these are actually positive, the positive side. Like always remember. And then Rupa Goswami says, never forget Krishna. You know, and that is actually, even in the 64 items we see Rupa Goswami, there are so many things that he says that we should not do. You know, we should avoid offenses to the chanting of the holy name. We should avoid bad association. So all the negatives there are the aspect of one should not forget Krishna. Right? So these two, always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Right? So the entire process that has been described, the sadhana bhakti, the sadhana bhakti that we are actually engaging, is to come to the point of always remembering Krishna and never forgetting Krishna. And that is the state which the gopis are right now. They are always observing Krishna. There is no chance that they can actually forget Krishna. So how do we come to that stage from our conditioned state where, in spite of trying to always be remembering Krishna, always being thinking of Krishna, you know, we are still attracted to the items of this material nature. Like we know the philosophy that yes, you know, we know that Krishna is so beautiful, right? Krishna is so beautiful, this process of bhakti is so glorious. Everything we hear, this is the best opportunity, human form of life is the best opportunity for us to perfect our life, go back home, back to God. We hear all this, but still our heart is attracted to material things, you know, at least for me. That's why I'm speaking for myself. So how can we come from this stage to the state where we are trying to remember Krishna, but we still are attracted to so many things of the material world, to the stage where we can always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Right? So that is what I was thinking. So anyone would like to share any points here? How to come from this state where we are trying to remember Krishna, but still we are attracted to so many things, to the stage where we can always remember Krishna. Yes?
We have been around for so long, we are so conditioned.
We are so conditioned.
This Kali Yuga. So, not to expect great things from us, because first of all, we're insignificant. We are insignificant. And secondly, heavy conditioning in Kali Yuga, to put all this together, and that's our condition, that's our situation. So to come to the point of always remembering Krishna, one has to be completely pure. So we're going through a process. We're going through a process of purification, and it's going to take some time. And the most important element, as you indicated, is the chanting of the holy name. So one of the things we can do is increase the number of rounds we chant, and try to chant as much as possible, because the actual recommendation is never stop chanting. So maybe little by little we can increase, and then in this way we spend more and more time connected. Even though our mind goes away, there is this prayer by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Chant Anyway, you're probably familiar with it. It's called Chant Anyway by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that many people are aware of, And he says, just chant anyway. And he explains why. Because I have it, but I'm not going to take the time to do this. It's your time. So we have to realize where we are. And we have to be patient. But we also have to be very hopeful and try to increase our rounds. And, when we become more purified, we will be more eligible to engage in other activities that are also very, very favorable. But it takes a while, and it takes patience.
Thank you.
Not to throw cold water on hopefulness, but I think we have to come to the point where we feel hopeless without Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
And we can see the example of Draupadi in the arena of the with all the Kurus and how she just simply knew that it was hopeless and that Krishna only could save her. And at that point, then Krishna, he fills in the blanks, like I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. So it's this sort of, when I say hopeless, I don't mean it's like something bad. It's like, I can't do it, and only Krishna can do it, and I know that my efforts to do this will only be successful if Krishna empowers it.
Right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the point. So, I was thinking, very nice points, thank you. So, all these points, I was thinking, what is a good reference where it actually talks about how we are, the main point that, we are trying to remember Krishna, but still the attraction stays. And then Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Instruction, this is a verse that came to my mind. Sat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Avidya Pitopatapa Rasanasya Narochikanu Kintu Adhara Anudinam Kalu Sayava Justa Sadvi Kramad Bhavati Tad Gada Mula Hantre. Right? So this is Nectar of Instruction, text 7. And Krishna, Rupa Goswami is saying, the holy name, Sat Krishna Nama Charita, the holy name, character, pastimes, activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet like sugar candy. So when we are reading today's particular verse, when we read that the gopis are appreciating, like the walk of Krishna, the smile of Krishna, the glance of Krishna, wow, so nice, so much appreciation. Why is my attraction not come? So Rupa Goswami is saying, yes, they are actually very, very sweet. We cannot deny that, like sugar candy. And then further he says, Kintu adhara, although the tongue of one afflicted by jaundice of avidya, ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, and particularly the Sanskrit actually says, Adarat, kintu adarat means carefully, anudinam, every day, 24 hours a day, daily. That's what Rudrani was saying, continuously, right? Carefully, every day, chanting the holy name. So it is wonderful as simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue and his disease is gradually destroyed at the root. Right? A natural relish awakens within his tongue and this disease is gradually destroyed at the root. So one may say, Prabhupada in the purport, he actually talks about this, attacked by jaundice, the tongue of a diseased person cannot palatably relish sugar candy. Rather, a person with jaundice considers something sweet to taste very bitter. Avidya, ignorance, similarly perverts the ability to relish the transcendently palatable name, quality, form and pastimes of Lord. Despite this disease, if one with great care and attention takes to Krishna consciousness, so the point about hope, despite this disease, if one with great care and attention takes to Krishna consciousness, chanting the holy name and hearing Krishna's transcendental pastimes, his ignorance will be destroyed and his tongue enabled to taste the sweetness of the transcendental nature of Krishna and his paraphernalia. Such a recovery of spiritual health is possible only by the regular cultivation of Krishna consciousness. It's such a wonderful purport. And Prabhupada is explaining, that's the root cause. So we have to yes, we read all these pastimes and maybe there's a little attraction here and there, but still the other attraction to material things may be there. But Rupa Goswami is saying, every day just keep hearing, just keep chanting, and that's the solution. And gradually we'll get more and more a deeper attraction for Krishna. So when we are reading these words, like this is again one of the very deep topics of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the song of the bee. Just by hearing it, by reading it, by remembering these points, we are actually taking the treatment to finally develop that attraction to Krishna. Okay, thank you. So every day just taking this medicine of hearing this, and that's why we say Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Every day reading Bhagavatam, everything relishing Srimad Bhagavatam. And then by that, this disease will be, the attraction for Krishna will actually come in the core of our heart. So if you see, all the points you're saying, that I was actually thinking like how in Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami has so nicely given the entire process. If you start with the first verse, he says, he focuses on controlling the tongue, the belly, the genitals. He starts with that, right? And then he comes to things that we have to avoid. Atyahara, Prayasha, Prajalpa, Niyamagra. So, control your tongue, control your belly, control your genitals. Avoid, over endeavor, excessive eating, right? Atyahara, Prayasha. Prajalpa, mundane gossip, right? Niyamagraha. Just doing all these things just for the purpose of rules and regulations, very ritualistic. Avoid all those. Avoid bad association. And then what should we do? Then the next verse, text 3, he comes to a positive. Utsahan nishaya dhairyat. Have confidence, have enthusiasm, have patience. Nectar of Instruction is so beautiful. Starting, if you just go from the starting till this point, and the next verse is basically text 8. So we read 7, but text 8, Rupa Goswami is giving the formula how we can come to constant remembrance of Krishna. So since I mentioned, maybe I can just quickly read that text 8 also. But the text 8 purport, Prabhupada actually elaborates and says how we can come to the stage of constant remembrance of Krishna. It's a very nice verse and purport. So in text 8, Rupa Goswami is saying, Tan nama rupa charitadi sukirtanano smrityo kramena rasana manasi niyoja tishtan vraje tad anuragi jananugami kalam nayad akilam iti upadesha saram. So Rupa Goswami is saying the last few words is iti upadesha saram. This is the essence of all advice. So if you see form 1 coming all the way to text 8, you have the entire process there. Everything that's required is there. And in text 8, he's giving the formula, how we can come, the essence of all advice, right? So previously also he said, what is the essence of all advice? Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. So here also he's saying the essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Vraj, Goloka, Vrindavan Dham, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to his devotional service. So, coming from the stage of sadhana bhakti, which was last verse, is coming here to the stage of raga nuga bhakti. Right? But in this verse also he says, nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, form, qualities, and pastimes. And that way engage the tongue and the mind. Right? Then he talks. In this way one should reside in Vrindavan and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. So in the purport, Prabhupada actually elaborates and he actually says, yeah, so in the neophyte stage, one should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha. So that is the first point that I think Bhakti Sansway Thakur. In the neophyte stage, one should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha. This is called Shravana Dasha. Dasha, the stage of hearing. By constantly hearing the transcendental holy name of Krishna and hearing of his transcendental form, qualities and pastimes, one can attain to the stage of acceptance called Varana Dasha. When one attains this stage, he becomes attached to hearing of Krishna Katha. So first is Shravana Dasha, where we are hearing about Krishna. Then by continuous hearing, so it's all about hearing. When by continuous hearing about this Krishna Katha, then one will come to a stage of acceptance called Varana Dasha. Right? So when one attains this stage, he becomes attached to hearing Krishna Katha. And when one is able to chant in ecstasy, he attains the stage of Smarana Vastha, the stage of remembrance. And in this he actually comes recollection, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance and trance are the 5 items of progressive Krishna Smarana. Right? So at first remembrance of Krishna may be interrupted at intervals, but later remembrance proceeds uninterrupted. When remembrance is uninterrupted, it becomes concentrated and it's called meditation. When meditation expands and becomes constant, it is called Anusmriti. Yeah.
Thank you. Something very important is to remember that we have a garden and it's full of weeds. And so we have to create a garden full of flowers, and we have to create new pathways. So by constantly doing this, what's being said here in this chapter, in these verses 6, 7, and 8, we're creating new pathways. We're creating, because all these impressions that we have are completely against bhakti. And so they keep coming up. And coming up, and when they disappear, eventually they come back again, because they are rotating. So by doing this work, it's like cultivating another garden next door, and completely ignoring the one that we have been cultivating for so many lifetimes. And by creating new pathways, eventually, in the course of time, cultivation is the key word here, will become more and more connected to the process of pure devotion. So that's something very important, to kind of not take care, not cultivate the weeds, all those impressions that we have in our consciousness, but cultivate the process of devotion by devoting time and energy to it, which is being said here by Srila Rupa Goswami.
Thank you. Yeah. Like actually bhakti is described as when we are actually doing the process of hearing, like, you know, the point about using like cultivation, like a gardener, that is also given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami. He talks about like everyone should become a gardener, right? We have received the Bhakti Lata Bij, everyone should become a gardener and then cultivate that seed of Bhakti Lata. At the same time, we should be careful of the weeds, right? He says that you should make sure we are not watering the weeds. And the process of bhakti, like when we talk of the hearing, you know, and this is also elaborated in the in the 6th canto, 1st chapter, right, with the Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj conversation. It says when we actually engage in bhakti, that hearing is actually so powerful that it actually destroys these anarthas at the root. You know, it takes it out from the root. All the anarthas, all these impressions which are actually accumulated for so many lifetimes can be taken out by the root by this process of hearing Krishna. Krishna's qualities, his pastimes, his beauty, and so on. Right? Okay. So, yes.
I was going to ask you, what should our attitude be towards having these material desires? What, in other words, we have these material desires, we know they're blocking us, but what should our attitude be about these material desires? In other words, how do we live? We have them. How do we live with them and cultivate Krishna consciousness and stay positive?
Like the first point that comes to my mind is when we think out, we analyze ourselves, we introspect and we see all these like desires for so many lifetimes. I feel like that the first point is there that actually makes us humble. and that humility is like the first quality that we need, Trinadapi Sunichena, to even constantly chant the holy name. And when we analyze the anarthas with that mood of humility, we can actually intensify our prayers to Krishna. So if we just focus on just those anarthas and say like, oh, I have this, I have this, I have this, then that's not going to help us. We just analyze it and say, okay, it is there. Let me see this as an impetus to turn more and more to Krishna. Like how can I intensify my prayers? Like I really need Krishna, I need your help. I have all these anarthas, please help me. So that mood of crying out with the mood of humility is what I see as the way we can actually deal with these anarthas with the core of our heart. But it's good to actually be introspective because we know what is the disease. So that when we are actually crying out for Krishna, we know what are we trying to solve, what are we trying to take on.
I think it's so important, though, at the point you're making, because we should never be in despair. We should always be thinking that, yes, I've got these problems, but Krishna is greater than any problem.
Krishna is greater than any problem. And like how in this verse is saying, a person with a jaundice, he is like tasting, but still not getting the taste. But the solution is keep hearing, keep chanting, keep engaging. And yes, the process will work. We have that Shraddha, we have that faith. So having that Shraddha is like, even in, you see, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, when he gives instructions, he talks of the importance of Shraddha. Having that faith, that yes, I have all these anarthas, but yes, this process will work. But, we just keep going, and we'll see Krishna will reciprocate.
I was listening to a class by Amarendra Prabhu.
Yes.
And he's so funny. And he was talking about how his friends come up to him and they say, I'm so fallen. I have all these problems. And that class was about the mercy of Lord Nityananda. And he was saying, he tells his friends or whoever's coming with baggage full of problems, don't worry about this, never mind. Just take the shelter, go unto the shelter of Lord Nityananda.
Nice.
Don't spend any energy on that, just seek for the shelter of Lord Nityananda.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Marhamatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyan Dipan Kayanti
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Koro More. Toma bina ke doya lo jagata samsare. Patita pavana hetu Tava avatara. Mosama patita prabhu napabeara. Ha ha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi. Kripa Balokana Kara Hami Boronuki. Doya Koro Sitapati Aditya Goshai. Tava Kripa Bale Pai Chaitanya Nitai. Aha Swarup Sanatana Rupa Raghunath. Bhatta Yuga Shri Jiva Prabhu Lokanath. Doya Koro Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivas. Ramachandra Sangamage Narottamadas. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Koro More. Dayalu Jagata Samsare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda, Radha Goloka Nanda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Shri Vrindavan Dham. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Gurudev, Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev. My dear Lord, please be merciful to me, because who can be more merciful than your Lordship within these three worlds? Your incarnation is just to reclaim the conditioned fallen souls, but I assure you that you will not find a more fallen soul than me. Therefore, my claim is first. My dear Lord Nityananda, you are always joyful in spiritual bliss. Since you always appear very happy, I have come to you because I am most unhappy. If you kindly put your glance over me, I may also become happy. My dear Advaita Prabhu, husband of Sita, you are so kind. Please be kind to me. If you are kind to me, naturally Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda will also be kind to me. I pray for the mercy of Sarup Damodar, the 6 Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Bhatta Raghunath Goswami, Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, and Lokanath Prabhu. I, Narottama Das, pray to the merciful Srinivasacharya, and I always desire the company of Ramachandra. Srila Narottama Das Thakur Ki Jai. Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Jaya Kairava Chandrika Vitarinam Vidya Vadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipadam Purnam Niswadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatra Nitami Amita Smaranena Kalaha Etadrisita Vakripan Bhagavan Mamapi Turdaiva Midrishani Hananina Nuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Satahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitamba Jagadish Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmanishvare Bhavatad Bhakti Rahetu Arinananuja Kinkaram Kavitamam Vishame Bhavam Buddho Vipaya Vijayamita Jintanujantaya Nayanam Ramasaraya Vatvanadgara Guragara Gulakarni Chitam Babukadam Paramamahari Gurvavishati Yugayutam Nimeshena Chakshusha Pravishayutam Sunyayitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Vidahena Me Ashlisha Paparam Samam Adarshamam Artaman Guratuva Vitatata Adarnanastu Saevana Paraha. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which is in the heart of